podcast is no stranger to New England and the Room fans. Is Slippery Peter Barrett ready to make his return to the Cage Titans cage at Cage Titans 50? Pete, man, always a pleasure to have you on, bro, man. How you doing tonight?
Great, dude. I just wrapped up a solid night up at Sit, and I'm just on my way home now, so that's why I'm in my truck. But everything's been going pretty smoothly. Ramped up pretty hard, and my body's responding well. So that's fantastic news.
Well, I know in the past couple of camps, Sit, you've been having to fluctuate where you've been training. Is Sit open full time? Are they all set? Is training camps going full throttle at City Atong now?
Yeah, I think we're gonna have a couple guys fighting that night. We had, I think, two guys fight on the last one that I wasn't at. But yeah, we're getting pretty active back up there again.
Well, you took a card off, Pete. I know you had a slice in the face there. We'll get to that, but you took a card off, had some time to take off and reflect on that performance. I mean, it was a great fight, split decision, loss in that fight. Man, I think Lally's fight was that same night. So if that fight wasn't on, your fight would have been fight of the night. So,
Oh, for sure.
So let's talk about P. I mean, a great fight against Ali, a up and coming dude that's been kind of squashing everyone he's kind of been going against. How'd you think you were in that fight? And it was a lightweight fight, your first fight back to that weight since your UFC stint.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great fight. I still think I won that fight. I think without going super into detail, I think Alan is a horrible referee, and there were many times where he could have broke us up off the cage and split us up and put us back in the middle of the cage, but that clearly wasn't happening. That being said, I mean, if you watch the highlights of that fight, who do you think won the fight? If they did a 30-second clip of that fight for the best moves of that fight, who do you think won that fight? He kind of just closed distance, pushed me against the cage, and held me there. He took me down and stood back up. He got one good slam. He split me open at the end of a round. But I think I did more damage. I think I, controlled the stand-up a lot more so than he did. Again, some referees like to think that holding someone on the cage and not doing any damage is enough to score and win. But that's why it was a split decision.
Well, coming out of that fight, like you talked about, you had the highlight reels. You had it looked like the aggressive and more forward approach there. And Ali, as always in his game, is that wrestling game, that grind, and that fence holding you there and trying to, suck the life out of you, Pete. You look great in that fight. You moving up in weight. You looked healthy, aggressive in there. What were if looking back at that fight, is there anything you would have changed, or would you have gone to the same game plan and hope that, you did get your hand raised, or maybe clipped him in one of those exchanges and, on the feet there?
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have thrown more kicks. I think that's the only thing I would have changed. But that's it, maybe wrestled him first. I don't know. I wasn't super impressed with his wrestling. He showed a really low center of gravity. And it was kind of hard to get underneath. But I think it was a good fight. I've continually said to many people, like, I'm 1-3 in my last 4 fights, and those are some of the best fights that I've been in, and some of the best performances I've had. I've just unfortunately been on the other side of them. So, it's time to put a W on my name, and have these incredible performances produce me fruitful victories.
Well, before we get to your next opponent and that next opportunity in the cage, Pete, you talked about still, having that goal to get back to the UFC. Watching the Cage Titans, Table Titans, and, all that was said there. Dude, I mean, you talked about, it's not only, getting them wins that you need to get back to being that savage and ending fights in there, because the time is now. It's not only the wins, you need to make more highlight reels and end these people quick in there. what's changing in this camp to make that happen, or is it basically the same thing? It's just things haven't been going your way and you haven't been able to, connect. I mean, you had two UFC fights hitting the best fighters in the world, and then you had this one fight back fighting a guy that could be legitimately the number one fighter in New England at that weight. What's the adjustment going into this fight to end it and to take this guy's head off in there?
Yeah, I mean, with all those things being said, it's really working on footwork, agility, programming patterns, putting myself into situations where I'm repeating basic movements over and over again. So when it comes time to use them in the fight, in the cage, it's there. So, like I've been breaking down my pivots. I've been breaking down lateral movements. I've been breaking down feints. I've been breaking down changing directions. I've been breaking down changing stances and just drilling over and over and over again, just to get my movement more comfortable. I can punch like a motherfucker. That's not the problem. I want to make sure I'm in the right place to land the punches when they're open, and kind of just be maybe a little bit more off the leash. And I think maybe that I don't know. I don't want to say I've been too patient or overly patient, but I think I need to put a little urgency on knocking motherfuckers out again.
Well, you have your chance on November 6th. You spent, going against another veteran in there, no newcomer. This guy's coming to bring it. He hasn't fought in a little while, but his, fights he's had wars in there. He's from Hawaii. Spencer Higa. How'd this matchup get, take place? I mean, he's coming, out of left field, out of Hawaii. But he's fought some legit guys. He's fought for, the guy that just, Dela Cruz, that just fought, I think, Matt Bissett for the 155-pound title. I think he's fought him a couple of times. So he's fought some tough guys out there. What are you thinking about this matchup and how to come about?
I mean, I think he's tough as nails. I think he's going to keep moving forward. A lot of his fights end in decisions. So if I can get him to the ground and submit him, if I can get him to the ground and work some ground and pound, maybe I pick the dude up and throw him across the cage again. Who knows? It could get really fucking weird. But I need to finish him. It needs to be decisive. It needs to be violent. It needs to be impressive. And I mean, it needs, like, people need to cringe when I finish this kid. However it happens, it needs to, like, resonate with Halloween and then be like, watch that dude get murdered. And that's just the type of energy I'm bringing into the fight. It wouldn't matter who's across the cage. I just need to get back to being aggressively overbearing and dominant and finishing people.
As far as this fight coming up, you want to get back onto that winning streak and stuff. But, looking to the future, I mean, you've been the biggest name, one of the biggest names in New England MMA, been producing. You've been on the Contender Series. You won there. You got that contract. You want to get back to that UFC level. But, Pete, I mean, there's, the fire's in there no matter where you're fighting, I would imagine. I mean, would you be content just being one of the best in on the East Coast, fighting here and just dazzling the fans around the region, and maybe fighting for some belts if that UFC opportunity doesn't come sooner than later?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the one thing that I can do is focus on the next fight and do whatever I can and do my best to get my hand raised. And then when that fight's over, my next goal becomes to do my best for that fight. And that's the only thing I can focus on, just getting better, doing better, refining my processes, refining my skills, just continually progressing the game and moving forward in all directions. If that turns into me being like a reigning journeyman with a winning record, then let's fucking do it. I don't ever foresee myself fighting for a paycheck, just to get by any means. But I do love this, and I'll do it. I'm pulling the Tom Brady plan. Like, I still look like I'm 25. You know what I mean? Like, I met that dude. It was so funny. I was at work this weekend. Some kid walks up to the bar, and he was like, "Hey, did you wrestle at BC High? I'm thinking, I'm like, well, I've been coaching there for the last 5 years. Are you confused? He's like, no, didn't you wrestle there like back in the early 2000s? And I'm looking at this kid. He's like, don't you remember me? We wrestled together. He's like, you're an asshole. You look the same as you did when we were in high school. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, you might know. All right, fair enough. But I, I'm a very healthy person.
Yeah.
I take care of my body. I eat really well. So I don't see why, I can't get smarter and not work harder and continually putting
Excellent.
out good fights. You know what I mean? I'm older in the local scene, but I'm at the age where most of these guys are winning belts. So I'm not out of this, what I mean, by any means necessary. And we just look at oh Jesus, who he's the baby assassin. He just won the belt. Him and Figueroa just fought twice, right? Um, he's got the big Lego collection or the video games. So I can't think of his name.
I have no idea.
The 125-pound champ in the UFC.
Oh, I can't think of his fucking name. You asking me?
Like the babyface assassin, right? That's his nickname. Oh, what am I trying to say? He got cut from the UFC, went back to LFA,
Yeah.
put together, an impressive win, got into the UFC, was in the right place at the right time, got the right fights, and now he's the champ. You know what I mean? So by all means, anything is possible, and I just need to win fights again, and that's what's getting me. That's what is keeping me going, and that's why I'm here. I'm not at a point where I'm like, I'm going to take this fight, and if I lose, I'm going to retire. Because to me, from an outsider looking in on that perspective, that tells me you are already prepared to retire. You know, I am by no means anywhere near done. I am here to stay. I'm here to beat people. I'm here to knock motherfuckers out, and I am here to impress the fans because that's what I love to do. And and it's a blast, and I love it, dude. You know what I mean? And so by all means, however it works out, I'm here to perform.
Excellent. Well, you've been doing it for a while, man, and we can't wait to see. We're 5 weeks out, Pete. I'll have you down on the live podcast, seeing how you're doing. Halfway during training camp when you're really angry and you're really gritty, and we're really talking about and hyping this card up. Right now, it's early out. Has training camp started? Like, is that grind? Like, I know your opponent was just announced on, I believe, Monday. Has training camp started now? Full throttle, or when does that happen for you?
So I'd say I'm about like 2.5 weeks into full throttle. Um, my timeline, I split my face open. I got that stitched up. I had to take time off to let that heal. And because of where the cuts were, they're best recommended to stay out of the weight room where it's dirty, stay out of the gym, just let it heal. So I thought I was doing the right thing, let it heal up, get back to the gym. I buy like a Kobe Bryant like face shield. So when I'm doing jiu-jitsu, no impact, nothing. And after about like 2 weeks of that, I'm like, okay, I think I can go back to boxing. And, I just got to make sure I shower every day. Not that I don't, but like really scrub my face. Excuse me. Whatever. I'm not really thinking it through. I don't have my face shield on when I'm boxing, and from my glove going to the bag, going to my face, you know what I mean? That whole process, I ended up getting cellulitis in my face, and I had to have all this. They poked it and drained it with needles and whatever. So that set me back another 2 weeks, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm not even risking this shit. I'm letting this thing heal."
Yeah.
And then like 2 weeks after that, I came down with COVID. I had COVID the week of Cage Titans, the last Cage Titans, because I was supposed to corner Josh against Valdina, and I had COVID.
Really?
So that took me out for like 2 weeks, and then once I had crushed my 10-day quarantine, I went right back to work that next day. So then I went right back to work at like late nights. So I was like babying back into training full time, but now like I said, 2 weeks back, dude, I picked everything back up, and like we opened the conversation. I said my body's been feeling great. It's been responding fantastically. Like the only thing I need to work on is getting to bed earlier because I just started that new cardio program at that gym down the way in Rockland. So that's got me up at 5:30 in the morning every day, which means my goal is to be in bed before 10. That gets me a good solid like 7.5 hours sleep. And then I try to nap every day in the middle of the day, and that gets me through my evenings. So like that's where I've been at, and I've been crushing, 2 hours at Lausanne's 3 times a week. I'm up at Sigatong 2 times a week. I'm doing the training over with those guys, so I'm not really doing any of the work, but like my heart rate's up. I'm getting the
Yeah.
work when I'm coaching these classes. So I mean, I'm in it to win it, dude. This is my lifestyle. I love it.
Excellent, my man. Well, dude, down the line we'll talk about that cardio program, all the business that you're doing outside the cage, because as fighters get older, they start getting businesses on the side, start growing their personal training, all that. So we'll cover that down the line, man. But right now we're focusing on you getting back in
Yeah,
there and ending this fight quick and getting that hand raised so we can apply them wins and get to bigger and better things again for you,
yeah.
brother. So last thing, brother, shout outs, sponsors, anything you want to say before I let you go and start grinding more into this training camp.
Yeah, man. I mean, sponsors, ancestral supplements. You guys always see me posting about the desiccated beef organs. Like that is a huge game changer. If you guys are interested, if you're curious, if you're like, man, this whole carnivore thing sounds like a good idea, but maybe you're like, that sounds kind of crazy, but maybe there's something useful over there. For me, I visited that. Ancestral supplements, the desiccated organs is what I took out of carnivore. So now I eat a regular, more, moderate style diet, but I stuck with the beef organs. And they've been a huge support system for me. And then also Alphabolics with the Test Reaper and his product line has been fantastic. So like the ancestral supplements is like for foundational nutrition, and then for my performance supplements, I go with Alphabolics. He has all of his stuff made in certified sport facilities. He just can't afford the branding on his product because that's like a huge price tag to get that on all of your stuff. Um, but that being said, those are my two main guys. And then, of course, where I'm at, Hardcore Fitness, Sigatong, Lausanne's, Top Game Management. Keep your eyes. Rob's fighting Jose Aldo. That'll be a banger in December. Um, Sheath, the guys I'm wearing right here, DGAF. Keep your eyes out for their stuff. That stuff's always fresh, and that's where I'm at. That's who I am.
Excellent, my man. Well, Pete, always a pleasure, man. Glad to see you back in there. Like I said, that last time you were in there, could have been fight of the night. It was just toss up, man. So what a way to carry yourself into your next matchup in there, man. So I wish you well during the training camp. We'll catch up halfway through, and we'll see how
For
you're
sure.
doing, man. And man, good luck out there. And I can't wait to see you on the 6th of November.
Hell yeah, brother. Thanks for having me on.
All right, my man. You have a good night.
You too. Thanks.